Beach. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Listen, welcome back to another episode of the Most Important Person Podcast. I'm Monroe Alise. Listen, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Yes, I'm so glad you made it, baby, because some people ain't making it, but I'm so glad you made it because you are the most important person in your life. Yes. And so, listen, if this is your first time here, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and check us out. And follow us at the M.I.P Podcast on social media. Listen, I'm so grateful. Today, I want to talk about the hashtags that I use, which I'm sure you've seen by now, for each day of the week, right? So that's hashtag Miraculous Monday, hashtag Transformation Tuesday, hashtag Whatever Wednesday, hashtag Think About It Thursday, hashtag Fantastic Friday. And so I want to tell you what each of those mean and how did it come about? Where did it come from? Here we go. Okay, so hashtag Miraculous Monday. Now picture it, 2020 in the middle of an epidemic. Here we are, we can't go outside, and I'm like losing it, right? And so I wanted to create something that could keep me going because I had to realize I'm the most important person in my life. And so I wanted to create hashtags to keep me motivated for each and every day to get through a Monday through Friday. Oh my gosh, and going nowhere. Listen, I was getting dressed going nowhere. I was putting on a beat batter in season. Honey, I was putting on new wigs. I was popping tags off clothes to sit in the house. And it worked for a while until it didn't. And so I created the hashtags. So the first hashtag is Miraculous Monday. Now, what I was realizing every Monday as it came and rolled around is that some people from last Monday were not here that following Monday. And I'm not talking about like here in the District of Columbia. I'm talking about they had gone on to glory or to whomever their maker or whomever, wherever they believe in. They wasn't here on earth no more. And that was a very scary thing, but also there was something very gratifying in that I was chosen. I was gifted another day. And so miraculous Monday came about. And that was what I looked forward to. There was the gratitude in that I made it. It was a miracle that I made it because some people were not making it to Monday. And that's where I find the gratitude. Every day I lead with gratitude and humility because, listen, there's a lot of people who wish they had a second chance. There's a lot of people who wish they had a redo or to do things over again. And so I took my life back during that time in 2020 and created that hashtag Miraculous Monday because not only was it a miracle that I was still alive and that I made it to a Monday, but that was the gratitude for me. And so that's how Miraculous Monday came about. Now, Transformation Tuesday. Okay, that's low key, high key, one of my favorite days of the week, Transformation Tuesday, because it reminds me that I am not where I used to be. That's what Transformation Tuesday means to me, that I'm not where I used to be doing what I used to do with the people I used to be doing the things with, okay? Yeah, like things I used to do, I don't do no more. Yeah, places I used to go, I don't go no more. And that's how I know I've been changed. And so on Tuesdays, I try to remember that there has been a transformation on the inside. Now, listen, I know y'all know that I am a black woman of the trans experience, but I'm not talking about the physical transformation, even though I did gain 25 pounds during the pandemic, but I digress. I'm talking about that internal transformation that took place where I started focusing on the solution instead of the problem. Great God from Zion, baby. I'm just talking about me. I'm talking about that's what Transformation Tuesday reminds me of. I get excited when I think about Transformation Tuesday because I know that whatever it was that happened last Tuesday, I'm different. Even if it's just a little piece of me is different, I'm still different because I'm the most important person in my life. So, whatever Wednesday. Baby, I told y'all I done gained that 25 pounds in that pandemic, honey, and I was trying to be all mindful, watching my gluten and my carbs and trying to do wall push-ups because I couldn't get my big self on the floor and do no flow push-up, and even the girl push-ups was hurting me. So I was up on that wall. Push it real good, baby. I was in there trying, okay? And what I did was I needed to reward myself. So whatever Wednesday meant, I wasn't worrying about no gluten. I was going to celebrate me. I was going to intensify my self-care and practice that unconditional self-acceptance. Now, listen, unconditional self-acceptance really quick is being able to accept you right where you are right then and there. Me, I'm just talking about me. I'm talking about I had to accept me with that 25 pounds in order for me to be able to think about losing it. I had to accept me the way that I was unconditionally because I was taught to accept the things that only my parents accepted. That's what self-acceptance was. I accept what was taught for me or taught down or passed down to me that was acceptable. And so I had to accept all of me. And so on Wednesdays, listen, whatever made me feel good and it wasn't hurting nobody intentionally or unintentionally, I was going to do it. So if I had to go grab me a bag of chips, some gummy bears, or something that was going to be good to me, I would do it. Now listen, I love me an old nasty gummy bear. I digress. I just had to get that out of my way. My mouth has started to salivate over the gummy bear. But that's what whatever Wednesday means to me. So I do whatever makes me feel good on Wednesday. Wednesday is just a reminder to do something to really intensify your self-care and practice that unconditional self-acceptance. Thursdays. Hashtag think about it Thursday. Baby, Thursday wore me out in the pandemic. I was trying to find something that was going to get with the Thursday portion of it. And I couldn't really realize it until I had watched back one of the episodes that I did during the pandemic because I was going live in the pandemic. And I would always pose a question. And I said, well, that made me think. And I said, oh, think about it Thursday, right? And so I try to challenge my thought process. I try to challenge the way that I see the world. I try to challenge those things, right? Like, prime example, I used to smoke cigarettes. Shocker, shock alert, right? For those that don't know, I used to smoke cigarettes. I was smoking cigarettes in the middle of a respiratory pandemic. Can you believe that? And so I said, listen, if you love you as much as you say you do, then why do you do the things you do to you? Why are you putting those things, me, I'm just talking about me now, whether you got a Newport, a Salem, or a Winston in your hand right now, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just talking about me during that time. I said, if you love you as much as you say you do, then why are you sitting here putting this in your body? If you want to be all the things, if you want to be out here singing like Tony Braxton, you want to be out here singing in the background, you want to do some oohs and ahs, why are you sitting here smoking and puffing and chain smoking on these cigarettes like the chimney on an old house? I had to challenge my thought process, and what I realized is that that is something that I need to do, if not every day, at least weekly. And so on Thursdays, I try to challenge me in the way that I'm thinking. Is this conducive to the person that I want to become? Am I operating in a space that will push the needle forward towards my growth? Great God. Baby, listen, I'll just be talking to me. I'll be in here really going off about me. But anyway, that's how I got to think about it Thursday, right? Fantastic Friday. Listen, let me tell y'all something, baby. It was so hard to get through the week. You see how it had wore me out? You see I had to lean back on that one, baby? That had wore me out like that, baby, because it was so hard. And even to this day, listen, let me share right now. I ain't talking about just in the pandemic. I'm talking about right now. I use these things on a weekly basis. Baby, sometimes it's so hard. I be trying to get to Friday. I be trying to keep my eye on the prize and push, praying until something happens. Thank you. Shout out to my sister Marissa for that. Listen, Marissa Miller, let me tell you, when she said that, pray until something happens, push, I do that. And getting to Friday, it seems like sometimes that'd be the longest thing, but it's a fantastic Friday just to realize it's Friday. I made it. Listen, I can breathe. I can relax. And I can feel good about the work that I put into my week. Good, bad, or indifferent, because I learned from my mistakes today. I learned from the things that don't serve me today. See, that's how I believe that we get the spirit of discernment. Let me just talk about me, because I can't say what y'all got or what you don't got, even though this is the safest place to be, but I'm just talking about me. I believe that's how I have acquired the spirit of discernment. I had to go through some things, right? I had to burn the fire once or twice. I had to feel the heat in order for me to know, okay, now that's hot. And so when I have done that experience, the discernment is, it's a familiar feeling. Now don't put your hand on that, because it's hot like it was the last time. Now, do you want that 3rd-degree burn? Or you gonna bow out gracefully? I believe that that's what the spirit of discernment comes from. It comes from the experiences of knowing what something feels like and how it didn't serve you in the first time experience. And so that is my rundown of my hashtags for the week. I hope that you're able to use these and incorporate them into your weeks if you need to. Remember, the miracle of Monday is that you made it. A miraculous Monday it is. Transformation Tuesday. Baby, listen, you're not in the hurricane and tsunami that you used to be in, so don't allow the drizzle that you're in right now to distract you. Whatever Wednesday, do whatever it is that makes you feel good, as long as it's not hurting or harming anyone else. Listen, Helen, if you want to hula hoop. Brittany, if you want to blow bubbles. Whitney, if you want to whistle, can you please throw in the theme song from Golden Girls, because it's one of my favorites. Think about it Thursday. Challenge your thought process. Make sure you are continuing to grow and challenge yourself each and every day. Listen, that's what I just try to do. And Fantastic Friday, remembering, listen, you made it. You made it. So, keeping up with being the most important person in my life, and as you are the most important person in your life, I want to talk about like relationships and dynamics. And I told you we would be getting to know each other more, right? And so I have been single now for almost 4 years. It's 3 years and some change, right? And I want to talk about like me and this dating process and learning what that looks like for me. And I can only do that by reflecting on my last relationship. Yes, listen, I'm about to go there, right? And so I want to talk about that. First, I can say that if it had not been for him, I wouldn't know how to communicate in a relationship. He taught me how to communicate. The reason that we are not together now, I know that that's like a thing, is because we both came in leaving codependent relationships. And he had been in a codependent relationship. He was married and legally separated. And I had been codependent in all of my prior relationships because I mainly was the second person in a lot of people's relationships. I was never the first person. Now we can equate that to the main girl, the girlfriend, whatever, but being a Black woman of the trans experience, I was hidden often. And honestly, at that time, I was okay with it because I thought that that was as good as it was going to be. Let me just share my truth. And so coming from a codependent relationship and him coming from a codependent relationship, we agreed that if we felt that we were being codependent on each other, we would pull each other up because we were in a space of growing and evolving and wanting better for ourselves individually. We were both on spiritual journeys separately and thought it a great idea to explore that together. And for me, in my experience, what ultimately happened and why we're not together anymore is that I found myself excelling in a way that I never have ever experienced before. Professionally and personally, I had started attracting, with this newfound internal light, more attention from my employer, from people on the street, from people that I was experiencing. And I felt that he was not experiencing the same elevation. And it became whatever I wanted to do, whatever I liked, whatever I needed. And the old me would have been like, bitch, this is the perfect type of relationship. It's all about me, solely focused on me, because I'm selfish at heart. I'm a person who is selfish at heart, and I have to practice being selfless, right? And so on this journey, making conscious decisions, I felt that it would not be fair for him and or for the growth of me to be in a relationship where everything was still all about what I wanted. Right here it is, him trying to find the things that he wanted to do and what he liked and who he individually is as a person. We couldn't do that in a relationship. And so we had a conversation, and I decided that it would be best if I separate and remove myself so that he could explore and find out who he is without having to think if I liked it, or was I going to agree with it, or was I going to want to be doing the things or okay with it. And that's why we ultimately separated, only to find out that we're better off as friends. I love him to this day. He's an amazing guy. But yeah, so I now know how to communicate based off of that relationship, because what I learned is that I don't have to lead with anger or being right. I reevaluated my relationship with him, and I realized that there were three things that always was taking place during a heated argument or a discussion or a disagreement. I or him was trying to either prove, defend, or protect what was being said. I wasn't trying to listen to what he was saying, or he wasn't listening to what I was saying, or we wasn't comprehending each other. And I'm gonna give you an example of that, right? Like I could say, go in the refrigerator on the second shelf to the right, grab the ketchup. And then you could go in to the refrigerator on the second shelf and grab the mustard. Now, if I would have asked you to repeat what I said, you could repeat what I said verbatim. Go in the refrigerator on the second shelf to the right and grab the ketchup, but that's not what you heard me say. And so what I realized when we would have these disagreements, debates, and or arguments is that maybe he's not understanding what I'm saying, or maybe he didn't hear what I said. Or, bitch, just ask. And so one day it literally dawned on me to just ask, because I came from a background where my word, listen, this tongue was vicious, honey. I can, say things to intentionally hurt your feelings. But I asked, what did you hear me say? Don't repeat it verbatim, but what did you hear me say? And that taught me how to listen. That taught me how to communicate. And that taught me how to have a little more grace for my partner. And so, yeah, so I am as single as a dollar bill, honey, on this journey of exploration into spirituality, independence, and authenticity, for who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world. But I thought that I couldn't express that without sharing with you all why I've been single for this last 3 years. Listen, I've heard so many people talk about the dating pond, the dating pool. Now listen, the pool is muddled, right? Now listen, I say this all the time. Ain't nobody think about me. Don't nobody want me. Only because my DMs aren't filled with things of substance. Now that don't mean that they not filled with men shooting their shots. There's no one in my DMs or no one that I have entertained or spoke with or talked to in these past 3 years that had any substance, or we shared the same values, or we just were compatible, or even connected in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I mean, now mainly probably because I'm focused on this journey of growth and individuality, maybe because we just weren't compatible or had any chemistry or all of those amazing things, maybe. But I thought that in order for me to kind of figure out and unpack what that looked like, hell, I had to go back. Sometimes you gotta lose to win again. Listen, I had to go back. I had to go back and see what was going on. And so that was the last relationship that I was in. Now, listen, did I ever tell you the story about the 9-week boyfriend I had that I was in that relationship by myself? Okay, you won't have to come back and find that one out. Yeah, I was in a whole long-term relationship by myself, so I don't count that. Yeah, he ain't loved me, but I loved him. Lord knows I did. I don't think I'm ready to talk about that one. But listen, you just keep on coming back and more will be revealed. Listen, can you believe it? I have started a podcast. Yes. Are you subscribed yet? Please. The Most Important Person Podcast. The M.I.P Podcast. Make sure you tune in and check us out. Please follow us on Instagram at the M.I.P Podcast or follow me at Monroe Alise P, MONROE ALISE for updates and information about when the episodes are dropping and what's going on. Listen, I love you for watching, and listen, this is the safest room to be in. Come on in the room.